Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is a massive game with an absolutely staggering amount of things to do, one of which, of course, is to find Zelda. And yeah, I got around to finding her eventually, but I spent a ton of time getting up to all sorts of Hylian shenanigans, including but not limited to getting my Stalhorse out of the depths, taking my regular horse into the sky, creating Korok Gundams, and bringing Purah home. For science, of course. So join me, if you will, on an epic journey chronicling everything I did before finding Zelda. I airlifted a Stalhorse out of the depths so you don't have to.
Link, you must find me.
No.
Hyrule is in disarray. Zelda is missing. It's time to focus on what truly matters. Bringing a Stalhorse onto the surface. Is it even possible to do? Well, that's what we're here to find out. The plan is simple. Find a Stalhorse, ride it across the depths to one of these holes, create some sort of Zonai contraption, and airlift him out. But if you've been on my channel for a bit, you should know that nothing is ever... oh my god, nothing is ever simple on this channel. And let me tell you, this project was absolutely maddening. For those of you who are watching this and don't really know much about Tears of the Kingdom, thanks for sticking around. Allow me to give you some context. In this game, we're sort of working with like a 3-story home here. You got Sky Islands, you got the surface, you have the depths. This underworld expands beneath the surface of Hyrule. It's vast, dark, and probably a smelly place. It's full of gloom, not that gloom. This gloom hurts you if you walk on it. Enter the Stalhorse. These bony steeds roam freely in this unforgiving place.
Look at him and tell me there's a god.
And a skilled adventurer can tame and ride them, making travel much easier. Of course, you could also build yourself some sort of Zonai flying contraption, but don't think about that right now. Look, they may seem convenient, but then you need to be consoled when your hover bike gets stuck in a tree. Stalhorses aren't getting stuck in trees. I mean, look, if anybody could find a way, it's probably me, but that's not what's important right now. Things were off to a great start. I found 3 Stalhorses and then immediately scared them all away, but it's totally cool because I caught up with one of them and now we have a new faithful companion down here in hell. Meet Brooke, named after, of course, my favorite Straw Hat Pirate. Brooke and I valiantly rode across the gloom through the darkness, a true bonding experience old as time itself. Man and demonic horse made out of bones. We finally made it to We finally made it here, to this light route, this one right here. We enjoyed the safety of its warm glow. Above us, a sanguine hole leading to the surface. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to commence Operation Stal-Lift. Now, I must confess, the reason I've barely explored the depths or progressed in the story is because I've been fascinated by building odd Zonite contraptions to varying degrees of both usefulness and success. Operation Stal-Lift was no different from any of my other missions, numerous iterations of contraptions, but as Edison once said, I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that wouldn't work. Stal-Lift Mark 1, 2, and 3. I started Operation Stal-Lift by creating 2 bases which were 4 Zonai carts connected together. Lift would be achieved by a series of Zonai fans, giving us the upward thrust we needed to get the Stalhorse up through the shaft. But it would require quite a bit of power, so I strapped a series of batteries onto the device. I quickly reached the limit of what could be attached to the device, so I made the whole thing smaller. You may have noticed that I'm building this in 2 pieces. That's because our pro gamer strategy here is to park Brooke between them and then combine the 2 halves. You see, Brooke and Stalhorses in general are afraid of Zonai devices. They will just run if you move them around near them. So we need to quickly secure him and take off. The early iteration did not work at all. I couldn't get Brooke onto the platform. I tried again with Zonai wings with similar outcomes. A shocking breakthrough occurred when I flipped these Zonai carts upside down though. Since the wheels were now face up, the carts were lower to the ground and became a perfect platform onto which we could load Brooke. I also messed around with the Zonai balloons to no avail. Could not get that thing off the ground, even with rockets. It just wouldn't ascend. By adding another balloon and removing myself from the equation, we were able to get the device off the ground, but
This sucks.
on to the next version. Stal-Lift Mark 4. After some more tinkering, I came up with a few important changes to the structure. Walls to contain Brooke during flight, rockets to help get the thing off the ground in hopes that the fans will work once we're airborne, and most importantly, to help ease Brooke onto the device, I'm using a technique I discovered during my earlier Moblin space program. You see, it's much easier to load a feral Moblin into my very sophisticated rocket ship by first freezing it whole. Look at him, he's fine, everything's fine there. I successfully loaded Brooke onto the Stal-Lift Mark 4, but unfortunately the device lost stability after the rockets burned out. Very very not good. The fact that I kinda screwed up and left a hole in the fucking thing probably didn't help my case very much, but hey, it's part of the process. Stal-Lift Mark V. I had a major breakthrough on the Mark V. The Zonai fans, they're both good. Obviously, rockets are the way to go. That said, they run out of juice so quickly. As a result, I'm gonna need to stand on the platform and keep placing new rockets onto the device. And that's when it hit me. What if the platform was actually a Zonai hoverstone? This way, when the rockets run out of gas, the hoverstone will kick in and keep us airborne. It was brilliant. I also added a cooking pot to the mix to recharge batteries as we ascend. When you cook, it resets your battery charge. I don't know if that's intended or not, but it's in the game, so we're gonna take advantage of it. I added a steering stick, and then we're ready for takeoff. Some of you probably already figured out that there's a critical design flaw with this one. That's right, the second I let go of the steering stick, all the Zonai devices turn off, meaning the hoverstones no longer work. And then gravity kind of takes over, and well, you get the picture.
Oh no! Not good.
Stal-Lift Mark VI. In perhaps my most successful mission yet, the Stal-Lift Mark VI brought a significant design improvement, a larger platform for me to stand on. As you can see, my battery power is draining really quickly. That's because I'm using all these rockets and the hoverstones. But with the power of cuisine, my batteries are recharged. Again, I don't really know if that's working as intended, but we're gonna take advantage of that. We achieved our highest altitude yet, but tragedy struck when Brook fell out of the carriage, and he plummeted to his death. But you gotta crack a few eggs in order to make an omelet. Stal-Lift Mark VII. With all the improvements made and all that I've learned so far, I moved forward in a similar fashion, but this time I tried to make sure that the hull integrity of my craft had more integrity. The Mark VII brought us to new heights. But as we got dangerously close to the surface, Brook fell out again. Or perhaps something terrible happened. But I can't be sure because my back was turned towards it. Out of utter despair, I flung myself out of the Stal-Lift Mark VII, abandoning my creation. The game did not like that very much and froze up for like 30 seconds. I guess it lost track of whether I was on the surface or in the depths. It was kind of like a no man's land situation. Stal-Lift Mark VIII. I decided to go along with the same design. If it ain't Brook, don't fix it. But I didn't quite fuse the parts together right on this one, and Brook fell out pretty early on. Brook, I understand you're upset with me, but can you please come out of there? Brook, please?
Nope.
Oh my god. Didn't even lose a heart.
Really great stuff!
Somehow I managed to incorrectly fuse the parts again, and I crudely patched my mistakes with another Zonai cart. We have liftoff? This has gotta be the most precarious version. Oh, there he goes.
Damn it, how could this have happened?
Stal-Lift Mark IX. On this version, I thought maybe it would be a good idea to keep freezing Brook over and over again until we hit the surface so that he doesn't move around as much. That was not the move. Stal-Lift Mark X. We had tremendous success with the Stal-Lift Mark X. Brook got in, we lifted off, and we started the long journey up the hole. Rocket after rocket, in-flight meal after in-flight meal, we slowly but surely ascended. But then disaster struck. At a certain point, seriously close to the surface, Brook vanished.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
My disappointment is immeasurable. And my day is ruined.
I took Purah from Lookout Landing all the way back to Link's house.
Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
Well, Looney Leaf commented on one of my last videos asking if I could do it. For, you know.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
For what? I wonder. I wonder what Looney Leaf was talking about. For science, probably. Fellas, I'm not gonna lie, this process was so frustrating, I almost gave up. But then I remembered, I'm not a fucking bitch.
much.
I was gloating to one of my friends saying this would be such a quick and easy video to make. Oh, little did I know. This one would bring me to the lowest layer of hell. But hey, at least I got a chance to say hi to Patty while I was down there. You can find out more about that by clicking the little thing that just popped up on screen. The plan is simple. Okay, maybe not that simple. We go to Lookout Landing, we wait for it to rain, Purah moves, we put some Zonai devices down, we scoop her up, we fly away.
To the home.
Welcome to my new base of operations. I had to sell some of my precious gems and rocks.
They're minerals.
Sorry, precious gems and minerals to fund this crucial endeavor. This dude's eyes. This is my foyer. It leads to my living room, where we exhibit a very bold architectural design element. It has no walls. Open concept. Look at all that natural light. You pay extra for that. Stairs to get up to the bedroom, where Purah and Link will be doing the science.
Yes, science!
Another quick trip to Goron City allowed me to expand just a little bit more. A gallery showing off, of course, our Lord and Savior Brook, and a stable, which will remain empty until I finally get Brook onto the surface. But Lou, there are Stalhorses on the surface.
I know.
I was ready to initiate the plan. I went to Lookout Landing with glee. It was a beautiful sunny day, which was a slight problem because we needed to rain. You see, Purah is basically glued to the ground in this weather, so even if we manage to sneak some Zonai contraption beneath her, it's just gonna break apart. A true testament to Purah's thickness. You can easily scoop up an NPC and transport them if they're moving, like this farmer guy here. The good news is Purah does move. The bad news is she only moves when it rains. That said, we'll keep things very simple. 2 Zonai carts, 4 fans, 2 rockets for the initial boost up in the air, and a steering stick. Behold, the Purah transportation unit. This trip is definitely a bit of a hike, so being able to steer is really important to me. And fellas, I'm not gonna lie, the thought of hoverstone rocketing all the way over to Link's house really did not sound appealing to me. Using a stall lift on Purah is out of the question. If you're saying to yourself,
What the hell is even that?
well then boy do I have the video for you. Besides, Purah isn't a horse, she's a lady. So fucking stupid. Okay, maybe I tried it once, but it didn't work. All necessary preparations were complete. All I had to do was wait for the rain. So I sat there and I waited. Good news, everyone! My building wasn't on fire. Now, where were we? Oh yeah, the rain. It wouldn't rain. Wouldn't do it. This section alone could be a several hour long video, but to spare you the mental anguish I went through, here's a quick rundown. I tried sleeping over and over again. I tried fast traveling around the map. I tried just playing the game and coming back to Lookout Landing. I quit the game. I relaunched it. I restarted the Switch. I changed my active quest. I made videos asking you all about the situation. Thanks for responding if you did, by the way. Nothing worked. During one especially fun moment, it was raining just outside of Lookout Landing, but when you ran back to Lookout Landing, it stopped raining.
Summer rains, you can never predict them.
Here's another real knee slapper. I went to go force a blood moon to happen, and when I got there, a real blood moon happened. Can't make this shit up. Oh, but also the blood moon didn't work. The weather was just stuck on sunny. I know for a fact it has rained here before.
I am not crazy.
I have a couple of theories as to what's going on. The game might just lock the weather once you complete the regional phenomena quest, because that's around the time I stopped seeing rain. It might have something to do with the 1.2.0 update. My file might be bugged, or I'm somehow cursed. I have no idea what I ever could have done to deserve such a curse. But we were experiencing a drought. It was pretty bad. So I did what any rational person would do.
That's not something a rational person would do.
Right, yeah, of course.
If you didn't get that joke, that's me starting a new file. I had a few important things to do. I had to get the Zonai devices, I had to get the battery charges, Link's house, and most importantly,
We need money.
but fortunately for me, I actually borrowed my friend's Switch and played the game on version 1. Why be salty about all the wasted time? After all, I only spent roughly 18 to 20 hours trying to get this to work on my other file. That was time well spent. It's fine.
I don't even care.
Let's speedrun this, shall we? I met Purah, reconnected with Brook, gave him some apples, opened up some of the map, mainly to fast travel from Tarrytown to Goron City back to Lookout Landing. I learned that this mud waterfall thing is actually solid and you can indeed crash into it.
Very cool.
I battled a Talus to get some gems and rocks.
They're minerals.
I got incredibly lucky and randomly came across a large Zonai charge, which was a relief because I defeated a construct. I didn't take any damage, by the way, but that fucker did not drop a large Zonai charge, so this kind of worked out. I also fell out of the sky immediately after that fight. It was an incredible moment. I saved the family, I sold my gems, I bought the land, I built my house, and finally, we are back on track. All we need to do is wait for the rain. I'm dead inside. Or am I? Cause it's raining. It's raining! I quickly assembled a Purah transportation unit, scooped her up, and lifted off. We had a long journey ahead of us, but it was such a relief to finally be in the air. Purah didn't seem too crazy about being airborne, but it's for science, and Purah is a scientist.
Deal with it.
Yeah, motherfucker.
It rained for almost half the trip. I diligently recharged my batteries like every 3 seconds, or at least that's what it felt like. The sun finally came out, and we made it to Link's house. Now for the trickiest part of all. Parking. I ever so delicately dropped altitude by quickly letting go and then grabbing the control stick again. That's fine, I meant to do that. We'll just move up. Oh shit, Purah's stuck on the roof. I went to grab the Purah transportation unit as she needs to be in the house, and then...
I'm gonna kill myself!
You know what? I was just having so much fun, I wanted to do it again. So I scooped up Purah again, and we launched again. It was even more triumphant than the first time. We soared across the map and made our way back to Link's house. Hello, Mr. Gliok. I very carefully lowered the Purah transportation unit, avoiding the roof at all costs. And finally, we've done it, fellas. I took Purah home. Behold, the mighty bedroom of the hero known as Link. Tremble before my interior design skills. Moving Purah room to room was a very silly process. Well, that was sort of anticlimactic. I wonder if we can bring Purah into the depths to meet Brooke. And you can't. But I bet Purah would like to explore a little bit more. An interesting thing I discovered is that if you put Purah down relatively close to Lookout Landing, she is programmed to walk all the way back. She even opens this door. Kinda cool. Once you've gone too far away though, she kinda just hangs out in place. Well fellas, the deed is done. Purah got a beautiful tour of Hyrule and ended up at Link's house. Now let's give them some privacy. For science, of course. Today I'm going to continue my efforts to get Brooke onto the surface of Hyrule with all my might. But we are up against a wall here, because what's most likely holding me back is the fact that this is a loading zone, bounding Brooke to the depths, causing Brooke to disappear every time we cross it. Brooke is my beloved pet Stalhorse, if you weren't aware. Let's see if we can do anything sneaky to get around that. It's time to continue Operation Stal-Lift. But some of you might be saying to yourself, Operation Stall what?
What the hell is even that?
Well, in my last video, I spent an egregious amount of time trying to build Zonai contraptions to airlift a Stalhorse out of the depths of Hyrule onto the surface. And now, thanks to the power of our community, we're ready to move forward, boldly. What's on the agenda today, you ask? We got some balloons, frost emitters, turbines, maybe a new chasm, and of course, some wacky antics along the way. But first, I need to address a comment that popped up, you know, maybe a few times. Yes, I am aware that Stalhorses exist on the surface of Hyrule. It's not about Stalhorses plural. It's about this Stalhorse. It's about Brooke. It's about getting him up there. It's about doing the impossible. Did we get to the moon by saying it couldn't be done? No. Stanley Kubrick went to a studio in Hollywood, got a bunch of The game just doesn't want me to do it, and that's why I want to do it. This is about freedom.
I thought this was America! Huh? Isn't this America?
With that out of the way, let's get down to business. I went through your comments and I tried to hit as many of them as possible.
He's a good man. And thorough.
Several of you suggested that the Zonai carts were just too heavy, and someone suggested that I use the metal grates, and I gotta say, I am very grateful for that advice. This was a great change for my workflow. Gee, I really hope these great puns aren't getting too grating for you. All I did was glue an apple onto the grate so that it would stay in my auto build menu, and now I can summon it whenever at the cost of Zonite.
Very cool.
The grates are much lighter than the Zonai carts, and for an added bonus, it's actually easier to capture, secure Brooke with these. They snap together so much easier than the absolute mess of Zonai carts I was using before, so thank you very much for the advice. device grates are now a staple in the Stal-Lift program.
Really great stuff.
With some input from you guys, I've created the Stal-Lift Air Mark 1. Lift is easily achieved now with 4 hot air balloons and constantly powered by campfires, effectively making this a battery-free method of travel. Another benefit is the fact that I get to ride inside the carriage with Brook during flight. I can soothe him so that he's not running around like crazy the entire time, and hopefully it'll prevent him from despawning. There's just one problem with this method. Unfortunately, the hot air balloons ran out of gas right when we got to the base of the pit, and then... Stal-Lift Air Mark II. I made the carriage a little bit bigger and I used rockets to help get us up in the air. That was a spectacular failure as well.
Oh no!
Also, I really don't want to talk about it, but somehow the Mark II got stuck in a tree, and the Mark III was not much better. The only real solution for this would be hot swapping balloons mid-flight, but with the tiny amount of space in the Stal-Lift Air, it's just impractical. It was with a heavy heart that I decided to ground the Stal-Lift Air program. We're about to do a 2-for-1 special here. Many people suggested that the issue with the initial iterations of the Stal-Lift was not the design, but rather the time of day, meaning the reason Brook was disappearing was because of the fact that the Stalhorse can't exist on the surface during the daytime. Well, sew me into a bear carcass and light me on fire, because as I was recording this, I was so focused in getting up the pit, I didn't even really think about time of day. So now I'll think about that. And one other thing. Some of the very astute commenters pointed out the exact map coordinates where Brook disappeared, which was incredibly helpful. Things start to get weird around -156. Damn you, -156! With that in mind, I will hop onto Brook right before we hit the dreaded -156. Much to my dismay, Brook disappeared anyway, yet again.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just...
But interestingly enough, he did reappear down below. Ultimately, time of day isn't the issue here, and mounting Brook before he despawns doesn't help either.
Well, shit.
A few people suggested using frost emitters to keep Brook on ice, probably after seeing this. It won't hurt him, they said. Turns out, it hurt him. He died.
Oh, God, what have I done?
I of course had to be sure. I had to test it out for science. I captured another Stalhorse and chucked it into the Stal-Lift Ground Edition. I plopped a frost emitter in there, and yeah, I can say with certainty now that frost emitters do in fact hurt Stalhorses. Sorry, buddy. I went back to whatever the fuck shrine and grabbed that fan and motor as suggested by some of you. It took me a second to realize these dang old things need a shock emitter to power them. But also, I really kind of fudged the design. Can I just say this? It was not the cleanest takeoff of my career. But I got it in the air, and that's what really counts. I had the steering stick mid-flight like all great pilots do, but man, this thing did not fly well. Then I really fucked up by letting go of the control stick. But if I'm being so real, at this point, how we got up the hole didn't...
That's what she said!
How we got up there didn't really make a difference to me anymore. I know Brook is just gonna despawn around -158, whether I use rockets, balloons, or fans. And frankly, I'm not a big fan of that. It was around this point that I needed a change of scenery. You gotta understand, I have like 65 hours in this game and a solid 20 of them have been this. Potential spoiler warning, I'm not going to discuss the story at all, but I am showing locations from the main quest. Welcome to Tobio's Hollow Chasm. This was a nightmare. For starters, I don't know if you noticed, but in the last video, I only had 2 of the 4 temples complete, and I didn't have Tobio's Hollow unlocked at all. For the sake of Operation Stal-Lift, I did what any rational person would have done. I completed the next 2 temples and found my way into Tobio's Hollow Chasm.
That's not something a rational person would do.
Right, yeah. Course.
Still haven't found Zelda, but that's okay, she's fine. As I descended, I really started to wonder though, why did people think this would be easier? I do get the appeal of riding Brook up this tunnel. But man, this incline is rather steep. Not to mention I need to bring Brook all the way over here and make 2 stall lifts for the 2 separate holes. I'm gonna level with y'all here. This is not the same Brook from the beginning of the video. This is a girl Brook. How do I know? I just know these things, okay? Don't ask questions. This is Brook with an E. The other Brook didn't have an E in his name. Just so we're on the same page. I found this Brook closer to Tobio's, which saying a name like that makes me feel like it's a pizzeria, so we're gonna keep that going. Tobio's Pizza over here! It was quite a hike to get back up to Tobio's. And I'm not joking when I say this, I was tested in an extreme way here. My patience were really running thin. There were a few obstacles. but it was all gonna be worth it. To me, this location is the last hope. If it's gonna work, it's gonna work here. I thought Brook got stuck in this jagged little slopey rocky road thing over here, but good news, I found a nice little trick to get Stalhorses to go where you want them to go. Remember what I said in the last video? You see, Brook and Stalhorses in general are afraid of Zonite devices. They will just run if you move them around near them. I whipped out a fan and I scared her back up this hill, effectively freeing her from being stuck. It was a pro gamer move. I'm really starting to speak the language of this game. In the end, I got so frustrated to the point where I decided,
Oh, fuck it.
I decided to start the stall lift here in the middle of nowhere and just fly over everything. It was precarious getting Brook into this stall lift. In fact, there were a few moments when we were flying towards Tobio's Pizza that I thought she was gonna fall right out and I really would have freaked out, but we made it. After way too many rockets, we landed on the sloped section of Tobio's Pizza. I ever so carefully removed part of the stall lift and hopped onto Brook. Then the hike continued. It was a little tricky navigating up this part. There were plenty of sections where Brook just didn't want to go, but we were making progress. My hopes were sky high until I found it. The area where the game needs to load. The environment changes and we enter no man's land. I get forced off Brook no matter how many times I try. From certain angles, Brook disappears only to reappear once I get further away from the surface. And here's the kicker. This is the same map coordinate as the original hole we were traversing. Around -158 to -155, it's the same region. This has to be where the game is loading.
Oh, jeez. It's no use.
At this point, I tried to make another stall lift just to force Brook through, but I was completely out of Zonite. I was back to the carts, and it just wasn't great. And I only had a few rockets left, and then Brook ran up into no man's land where I couldn't even get back on her. Ladies and gentlemen, things were falling apart. To truly confirm what many people suggested about the loading zone barrier, I decided to flip the script a little bit here. Meet Tammy the horse. Tammy is from my original Breath of the Wild save. Tammy will be part of our adventure today. Let's commence Operation Tammy Drop. Horses violently avoid the chasms in this game. As you may have gathered, I am not an engineer, but where I lack those skills, I have an excess of persistence. My brain went to rockets and just, flying full force into the pit. I built a few different vessels to launch Tammy and I into the depths, and my findings were consistent. Tammy would disappear at the loading zone and would reappear on the surface. Someone else asked me to throw a Korok down there, and you don't gotta ask me that twice. In fact, I'm actually kind of curious why I hadn't thought of that already. For science, and not for war crimes. I built a Korok containment chamber and chucked the little fucker in, and wouldn't you know, the containment chamber survived. Well, sorta. But the Korok despawned. And that's about the time it really started to sink in. While my heart was heavy earlier as I grounded the stall lift air program, it's tenfold heavier now as I admit this out loud. I don't think it's possible to get Brook onto the surface. Not without cheating or no-clipping through the map. Our journey ends here. For now, anyway. Maybe one of you will figure something out. I'd be happy to be proven wrong here. But for now, Brook will stay here and he'll wait. It's very fitting. It's just like how Brook left Laboon behind with a promise to return. I'll leave Brook with an apple, maybe even a few. I'll adventure knowing that one day I'll see Brook again. Oh, sorry, didn't see you there. I bet you're wondering.
What are you doing here?
Typically speaking, horses don't really belong in the sky. Yet here's Tammy. Wait, oh fuck! Fellas, I'm not gonna lie, I'm still recovering emotionally from the failure of Operation Stal-Lift, and I needed a win badly. I needed a successful mission. So I went down to visit Brook. Daily apple delivery offerings to our Lord and Savior, all that fun stuff, and Brook spoke to me. He said,
"Come, sweet Lou, moon and star, you must bring Tammy to the sky. Some of your handsome and intelligent subscribers demand it. Yo ho 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 ho.
It shall be done." You guys remember Tammy, right? She was in the last video. Tammy and I get along famously. Fellas, it's time to embrace our inner horse girl and ride our noble steed into the sky. That's a weird sentence. Alright, that's enough horsing around. It's time to commence Operation Sky Horse. My initial idea was to find a low-hanging sky island and use the stall lift design to rocket up there. If you're saying to yourself, stall what?
What the hell is even that?
Then you gotta check out my videos about airlifting a stall horse out of the depths. I was concerned that the sky would have a similar sort of barrier like the depths did, causing stuff to despawn. But I was also optimistic because unlike the depths, you can actually see the sky islands when you're on the surface of Hyrule.
Don't give me hope.
So who knows, maybe they're already loaded. But hey, I doubt it. I went to Outskirts Stable, picked up Tammy, and pondered for a moment. That island there doesn't look too high. So I constructed a stall lift and we were off to the races. I quickly and expertly ascended because, folks, this ain't my first rodeo. And as fate would have it, right around an altitude of about 700, Tammy neighed her last, neigh.
Oh, good.
At least we weren't close or anything like that. My friends, all is not lost, and I am very used to disappointment. We're gonna need to make a quick stop at this elevator. We're gonna break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar and save it for later. This is the hot new building piece right now because apparently it weighs 2 apples. What? Cheers to whoever was able to figure that one out. People in the rest of the world be like, we use metric. People of culture be like, we use apple. Quick spoiler warning, I'm not talking about the story here, but I am gonna head to the area leading up to the Wind Temple, you've been warned. I took Tamantha to the base of this mountain range, getting ready to make the treacherous climb to the Hebra, I'm pretty sure it's Hebra, I don't really care that much. The peak, the peak right here, the peak of the mountain. Let me know what you think in the comments below, is it Hebra or Hebra? My plan is simple. The base of the Wind Temple is close enough to the peaks of the mountain that we might be able to find a weird no man's land. Sky islands that aren't technically in the sky.
Not a great plan.
But as I came to this little lodge here, I was met with a bit of an impasse. I was hoping to just ride Tammy up, but I guess we're flying from here. Fellas, I'm not gonna lie, this one part of the video was more difficult to me than fighting 5 Marauders in Doom Eternal. I tried a bunch of different builds here. I also tried to incorporate the turbine from that one shrine. You may be wondering why I didn't just use my beloved rockets here. I was concerned that I didn't have enough to actually make it all the way to the top of the mountain, and yeah, I could have done some grinding to buy more.
But I didn't.
It was really difficult to control this one. The fans definitely weren't aligned because the thing kept leaning backwards. I thought I could let go of the control stick for 1 second just for it to level out, and this happened. Definitely should have put a stabilizer on that one. Whoops. I put a stabilizer on the next one and things were going well. Maybe too well. That little hiccup, that little stop and start again was enough to kill Tammy. Excellent. But it's all the same because that one was really good at flying straight up, but not really anything else. So I decided to add a 3rd turbine onto the back of the thing. Little did I know that this would create a very efficient mobile glue production factory. Yeah, okay, like you've never accidentally created a flying horse electrocution chamber. Alright. Strangely enough though, we did make it up with Tammy and Zach. I may have kept this one going a little bit too long. I tried to land right over here and I guess I did it a little bit too hard because, you know, Tammy died. And then this little fucker threw a rock at me.
Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting shit to change. That is crazy.
I got really frustrated and decided to take Tammy for a ride to try and find another way up. And wouldn't you know it, there was another way up. There was another way up. Big shout out to the people who commented on my last video about holding ZL while ascending things on the horse. That was a game changer. We trekked our way up the mountain and came to this big gap. But it's all the same because we were about 1/3 of the way up the mountain and I was perfectly content with launching here. I put together a stall lift and we started rocketing our way up. 7 million rockets later, we officially reached the sky. We were above the 700 threshold. 700 feet, 700 meters, 700 apples, who knows? But we were there. I'm just as shocked as you are, but my theory must be correct. We're close enough to the surface with those mountains that we're not technically entering the sky yet, even though by all of our definitions, we are in the sky. Everything was going exceedingly smoothly until...
Oh no!
To my immense relief, Tammy held on to dear life and didn't succumb to fall damage. And what's even more clutch is the fact that the stall lift actually didn't get destroyed. We made it. We're off the ground. We're standing on a platform floating in the sky. While I was content here, I wanted to push it further. But first, an apple for your troubles, Tammy. I pondered my next move for a few. Maybe it was a little more than a few since a blood moon happened. Funny side note though, it actually made the physics get all fucky. I chucked these boxes off initially to give myself some more room, and I guess the blood moon made them respawn. They started pushing me and the portable pot around. It was very odd. I was even floating at one point. After solving that mystery, I noticed a sky island over yonder. I packed up Tammy and started flying. But once we got too far away from the mountaintops, Tammy vanished again.
I'm gonna kill myself!
I loaded an autosave this time with the intention of going up, but unfortunately when you load the game, all your fun Zonai creations disappear, so my stall lift was gone. I had to go old school. Before I started using the grates old school, so like 3 weeks ago, old school. Tammy, don't do it. Tammy, no! Something was giving me the vibe that Tammy in fact did not want to go up anymore. As I was saying, we're going to use an old school stall lift and start ascending a little bit. Very cautiously though, because we know we're right on the cusp of Tammy despawning. I didn't exactly think about how we were going to land this thing. Guess it wouldn't hurt if I just shot a rocket right towards this thing, right? That went surprisingly well. For the sake of science, I did one more flight, from the starting point up beyond where we landed initially, or accidentally, depending on how you look at it.
He's a good man, and thorough.
And in this particular region, Tammy despawns right around 900 apples. This is it. This is the pinnacle of Tammy's career. Let's just get this out of the way. This might be the highest altitude a horse has been in Tears of the Kingdom, at least, you know, without doing any funky stuff like wrong warping or weird shit like that. And because wrong warping wasn't involved, I can actually still ride my horse, albeit not very far, but I can. We have truly answered the question of the day. Can we get much higher? Oh god, Chopper, why did they draw you like that? Honestly, we probably could get a little bit higher, but Tammy's about to despawn, so I'm not gonna push my luck here. Another thing I didn't think about, man, that's kind of a theme for this video, is how we're gonna get Tammy back down. I guess I'm gonna have to make another stall lift and... Tammy, no! Long ago, when I first started playing Tears of the Kingdom, I came across this little fella.
Oh my god. Oh, that is so cute! Look at this little guy, this little guy!
And immediately something just clicked.
Rip and tear until it is done.
I did all sorts of funny things, from strapping them to rockets and launching them into space, to barbecuing them, to hooking them up to perpetual slapping devices, crucifixion waterboarding, chucking them into volcanoes, dragging them from the sides of vehicles, making them into fireworks to celebrate Independence Day. But it got old. I got bored, depressed even. I pondered what the point of it all was. And that's why I've decided today is the day we embark together on a noble mission to help restore balance in the universe. Today, we help the Koroks. I'll make sure they can defend themselves forevermore. Inspired by the legend himself, Frankie, I am proud to introduce the Battle Korok program. Now fellas, I gotta admit, the majority of my time playing this beautiful game has been spent unsuccessfully airlifting Brooke, my Stalhorse, out of the depths and getting my horse Tammy to the sky. In terms of things like, say, I don't know, fighting a Gleeok, that hasn't really been too high on my priority list. Though some of you might be saying Gleeok.
What the hell is even that?
It's this very friendly looking three-headed dragon. I'm sure it'll be delighted to meet me. So it is perfectly fitting to open up this Denny's mosh pit by bringing the Battle Korok 39 to spar with this motherfucker on the bridge. The Battle Korok 39 is a mighty, tall mech, homing carts for feet that enable it to advance towards enemies, shoulder cannons that volley explosives, twin laser cannons for arms. Mounted atop this mighty mech's head, Frankie the Korok. Let us storm the battlefield, and I'm dead. I'm gonna save us a lot of time here. Things did not start well. We're gonna bookmark the Gleeok and come back to it later after we've learned more. For now, let's start a little smaller. No, come on now, don't sigh, little buddy. I'm about to glue you to a battle mech, and then you're gonna massacre a bunch of bokoblins. They don't suspect a thing. Wow, that actually worked really well. I quickly learned that your positioning matters immensely when you activate the Battle Korok 39. Now it's time to increase the difficulty. This fort ought to do the trick. Look at these guys, they're just chilling, having a beautiful time, when suddenly... But this little fort offered us some valuable data. Bigger enemies are no match for the Battle Korok 39. Two minor issues became apparent though. First off, if enemies got too close to the Battle Korok 39, the explosions can potentially damage or even destroy the mech.
Not good.
In such a case, I would quickly intervene and reconfigure the Battle Korok 39. And secondly, if an enemy manages to get behind the Battle Korok 39, it is defenseless. Even so, it will eventually find a way to eviscerate the enemy. It might take a few though. We have to conduct one more minor league test before we kick things up a notch. This is Greg the Korok. We're gonna glue Greg to an improvised raft and zoom on over here. Now Greg, I know exactly what you're thinking. There's my friend, we're driving past my friend. That is totally fine, don't even think about it. We just gotta make a quick little detour and then we'll bring you right over to your friend. While I am more than capable of wiping out these enemies who took over this little coastal town known as Laurelin Village, it's the perfect opportunity to break out the Battle Korok. And this time I've amended the design to include rear cannons. Things were going absolutely great, but fellas, I discovered a bit of an issue. The last ruffian was down in this well. Fortunately, I broke out the MKD, the mini Korok destroyer. I just kind of flailed around wildly down there, and with that, Laurelin Village has been saved. Ooh, a double rainbow.
Double rainbow, oh my god. It's a double rainbow all the way.
You know what that makes me think of? The sky. Here's an interesting question. Can we bring a Korok to the sky to fight a construct? My assumption for this one is... no. But let's find out anyway. Congratulations, Keith the Korok. You're going to the sky for science. After a few horrible mistakes. I was very surprised to see that yes, you can in fact bring a Korok from the surface to the sky. My only guess for why this works is probably because the Koroks exist in the sky too, but I don't really know because I didn't program this fucking game.
Let me take my Stalhorse out of the depths!
Sorry. The Battle Korok 39 did not fare very well against this imposing block-themed monster. And once this cubic asshole started flying, I quickly thought to myself,
Conductor, we have a problem! Conductor, we have a problem! Conductor.
The Battle Korok kept exploding itself. I was making repairs on the fly, modifying it, trying to make it fly, but ultimately it was a failure. The Battle Korok 40, which was less of a mech and more of a floating platform drone sort of thing, was a very mixed bag. We had some initial issues. Then we had some success. Until we didn't.
Oh, good.
After much deliberation, I created a new addition to the fleet, the Korok Destroyer drone.
Oh no!
I'm not entirely sure how this happened, but the drone exploded itself and fell down to the surface. Fortunately, we have recalls, so we can bring it back up here and continue the fight. A valiant fight ensued, of course ending with the mighty Korok on top, thanks to a little help from his friend. Me, it's me, I'm the friend, in case that wasn't clear. Now that the Battle Korok program is truly cooking,
Sizzling like fajita meat.
Carl, please!
it's time to fight one of the creepier enemies in the game. The dreaded Gloom Hands. Keith the Korok will also be going on this mission. Let's get you onto that rocket, little buddy, and oh, dog's chasing his tail, that's cute. I summoned a Battle Korok 39 with a few extra beam emitters to fight the Gloom Hands. I had some slight issues the first time around. I didn't pay attention and the batteries ran out of juice before exterminating all the Gloom Hands. Then they came back, and they were not happy. I jumped into action because I had to save Keith the Korok.
No. Wait.
Now, do it again. Go on.
And I have to commend it because, man, that thing dispatched the enemies very efficiently. I had to step in and handle Phantom Ganon because he can do the classic Roar XD, I can make Zonai stuff disappear, which is going to be a theme for the rest of this video, by the way. Very cringe, but it's okay because Keith the Korok defeated the Gloom Hands, and that's really all I wanted. In honor of Keith the Korok's dedicated service to the mission, I now deliver him safely to his destination. No longer will he need to reach his friend, for they have been reunited. We are definitely reaching the top of the food chain now. I think we're almost ready to go back to our good friend Mr. Gleeok. But one more obstacle to overcome first, the mighty Lionel. To me, the Lionel is the marauder of this game, and as such, we respect the Lionel. But we will also clown on the Lionel, in the same way we clown on the Marauder. Also, I'm not completely sure why I felt the need to do this, but there were 2 Koroks in this area, so this is going to be a 2-for-1 special. I didn't name them, so let me know what we're calling these Korok buddies in the comments below. The big issue with Lionels is that they also have the ability to go Roar XD and delete all the Zonai contraptions. It definitely was not frustrating at all to deal with that over and over again. I even tried the chest strategy. Apparently when you put 2 chests together, it breaks the Lionel and just makes them roar infinitely. To no avail. Fortunately, we learned so much from defeating the construct in the sky. I summoned another Korok destroyer drone, and now we will let the Korok siblings go complete apeshit on this guy. But first, I need to ensure the integrity of the Korok destroyer drone, so I will break out my homing arrows. I will be stun locking this dude while the Koroks go ballistic. You may consider this to be complete cheese, but I need you to understand how many times I lost Korok mechs to this guy. This video is over 12 hours of footage, and at this point, I just wanted this dude deleted. And delete the Lionel we did. Which only leaves us one final enemy. With everything we've learned, it's time to end the Gleeok's reign of terror. No longer will we have to pay the ridiculous $16 to cross the George Washington Bridge. That's a New York joke if you didn't get that one. Since we've already seen the Battle Korok 39 fail against this absolute unit, I decided to continue this war with a Korok destroyer drone.
Well, shit.
This is fine. I returned to that fort from earlier to liberate one of these cages. The cage should help defend from some of those fire blasts. I started to develop a new Battle Korok, this one on wheels. Tactical upside down glued to the roof positioning for the Korok because it's aerodynamic. Ah shit, I didn't really think of that. Nice, nothing can stop us now.
You sure about that?
Despite a few defeats, there's a ton of potential here, especially with the smaller wheels.
I'm gonna kill myself!
But I believe we need to go in a different direction. It's time to truly make this the culmination of the Battle Korok program. 1 part destroyer drone, 1 part box for defense, 1 part homing arrows to keep this beast grounded, and of course, 1 part persistence, the likes of which Hyrule has never seen. The beast has been slain, and now Frankie the Korok can join his friend happily. Fellas, the Battle Korok program has been an unquestionable success. Balance has been restored, threats in Hyrule have been quelled, and most importantly, I think the human-Korok relations have never been better. I'm a true diplomat. Wait a second. This guy. Why do I hate this guy? The poop. They said it was impossible to bring a Stalhorse from the depths to the surface. We invested billions of Hylian taxpayer dollars into the Stal-Lift program to no avail. But today, we make dreams a reality. Can you believe believe Tears of the Kingdom is a year old? I wanted to make a video going back to Hyrule and most importantly visiting my beloved Stalhorse Brook. If you're new around these parts and you're saying to yourself, what the hell is even that? Stalhorses are these cute little bony steeds. They roam free deep beneath the surface of Hyrule. This particular one is my Stalhorse. His name is Brook, and I've been on a mission to bring him to the surface. Hasn't been going great. Our mission begins in the general vicinity of Tobio's Hollow Chasm. After making the arduous journey to get Brook here, I'll need to painstakingly rocket him up through this hole, back into what I called No Man's Land in my previous Stalhorse video. This is specifically around -155, or the area where Stalhorses go poof, disappear, they go away because the game is loading in between the depths and the surface. Once we get Brook there, we'll be rolling out a brand new strategy, but we have to get him there first. Today, I learned Stalhorses love to swim. Or not. I guess Stalhorses just fucking die when they touch the water. That's news to me. Maybe it's because it was a year and I'm out of practice, but whoa, buddy, did it take me a few attempts to get Brook back up into Tobio's Hollow Chasm.
Oh no!
No, 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 no! Wait!
Did they make this fucking thing more steep? I ended up taking some sagely advice from a friend. More about him shortly. I left Brook here for a second. I went back up onto the surface to grab this beautiful cage. I glued an apple to it. You know, for Brook. Brook likes apples, and he might get hungry on the journey. Back down to Brook with my new vehicle in tow. He was right where I left him. I was able to just scoop the little fella right up. No need to rebuild the stall lift another 700 times. Yay! After a mildly precarious launch, we had clear skies. It was a quick and easy flight to Tobio's. Finally, Brook was in position.
Perfect.
Now this is where everything changes, courtesy of the Cactus plant. Cactus is a legendary Hylian engineer, and when I spoke with him about my Stalhorse troubles, he had a plan. This was my actual response when I read his message. So I'm gonna leave the sciencing and the engineering for him to explain in his video. You're gonna have to go watch that one right after this one. Whether or not Brook sees the surface hinges directly on what I'm dubbing the Cactus method. To put this simply, we're gonna scare Brook into No Man's Land. But first, we'll save the game twice. Cactus really emphasized the importance of paranoid double saving, which I normally do anyway, even when the stakes aren't high, because I have trust issues. Next, we'll take out a Zonai something or other and move it around close to Brook so that he runs up into No Man's Land. Once Brook has vanished, we enter No Man's Land. Then we need to play a ravaging round of The Floor is Lava. Basically, we have to go from Tobio's all the way up to this other chasm in the northwest without touching the ground. I built a rudimentary Zonai copter thing and started my flight very gingerly starting and stopping the device to bring it lower to the ground. Skillful. Not gonna lie, it was a pretty scenic flight. A few minutes later, I was ascending the chasm and the game really had to think about what was happening as I grew ever closer to the surface. This next step might surprise you, but now that we're on the surface, I'm gonna do a very special gamer play. I'm gonna hurl Link into Lake Hylia and drown him. He's gonna drown. The reason we're doing this is because Link is going to respawn back in Tobio's Hollow Chasm on the other side of No Man's Land with Brook, because to the game, that's the last place Link was standing. See, we played The Floor is Lava so well that the game has no idea what's going on. Like me. Why does it work? I don't know, but Cactus will probably explain it. In any case, wrong warp complete. The hard part's out of the way. What are you doing here? Now all we have to do is ride up the rest of Tobio's and Stal-Lift Brook out of here. It's kind of funny, I really was close to cracking the code last time around, but I never would have thought about this wrong warping method. See, that's why it's really important to collaborate with people. Stal-Lifting Brook out of this was standard procedure, easy stuff. There was absolutely no mistakes here whatsoever, no issues, no collisions with the wall or anything like that. And just like that, a year's worth of experimenting, a year's worth of failed Zonai creations, all that funding to the Stal-Lift program, a year's worth of dreams. At last, Brook is on the surface of Hyrule. But Lou, there are Stalhorses on the surface.
I know.
Well, now my Stalhorse is on the surface too.
Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on!
That's right! I win! Sorry about that. Now we just need to fly Brooke out of here because this stupid thing is surrounded by water, but this is super easy. I've done this 100 times. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, this was a pretty dark moment in my life. I thought using recall would maybe pull Brooke up out of the water, but in fact, it only made things much worse. In my defense, the way Brooke was running around in there is what tipped the thing over and into the water. Had I activated the Zonai floaties, none of this would have happened.
Who cares? I don't care. I don't even care.
I don't know what it was, but after my horrific aquatic incident, it took me an absurd number of tries to fly myself out of Tobios again without touching the ground. My Floor is Lava Championship title was promptly revoked. But at long last, we made it. By the time I was hurling Link back into Lake Hylia, I was thinking, wow, drowning myself would be pretty great right about now. I'm just kidding, that's a joke, and I'm having a lot of fun doing this. Another perfectly smooth Stal-Lift ride with no issues whatsoever, and let me tell you, we are so back. I rocketed Brooke off the little island and suddenly Hyrule was our oyster. So, what do we do now? Obviously, we gotta try and board Brooke at a stable. One short scenic ride absolutely riddled with the incomprehensible horror of a random enemy destroying Brooke. After all this later, I found myself at the Highland stable. And this disgusting motherfucker called Brooke a nightmare. First off, not your buddy. Second, let me tell you, the only nightmare here is someone speaking in such an uncouth manner around my beloved stallion. I rode off, and that's when it hit me. In the video where I kidnapped Purah for science, I built Link a house, and I said this. And a stable, which will remain empty until I finally get Brooke onto the surface. Obviously, we have to bring Brooke home. The journey begins. Hyrule Maps gave me a bad route, aka I'm not great at planning things, so I had to pass the Gleeok, which was quite an experience. I think he's still a little mad at me for having my Korok friend massacre him for another video. He was shooting fire at Brooke and Link for what felt like an eternity. Since I was in the neighborhood, I wanted to see if you could bring Brooke to the desert, but I encountered two more scumbags over there calling Brooke a monster. The only monster here is you. Here's a curious observation. It actually does play the horse theme while you're riding Brooke on the surface. That's kind of interesting. I stopped by Lookout Landing to show Purah my mighty accomplishment, but I learned that Brooke doesn't do well with stairs. No sweat, a quick rocket will... Huh? I didn't want to show Purah my mighty accomplishment anyway. Brooke, I'm home. Or more appropriately, we're home. Side note, if you're hanging out at Link's house, you're gonna want to go ahead and not hit the bring horse in button, because that's actually the make Brooke disappear button. They said it was impossible, but thanks to the cactus method, my dreams are now a reality. And with that, I feel like I've truly completed Tears of the Kingdom now. By the way, I did find Zelda, but this was way more important. Massive thanks to the cactus plant for guiding me through this process. Make sure you watch his video on the topic too. He is genuinely a sage when it comes to this game, and he was super kind to lend a hand in something oh so crucial. And a huge thanks to my friend Knobtop for creating this awesome Operation Stal-Lift graphic. Thanks for watching. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button and watch some of my other Zelda videos here. Or if you're feeling like going on a whole new adventure, I have an Animal Crossing series where I fight demons. Alright, bye.